The Seattle Seahawks just refuse to stay out of the headlines. We've got NFL free agency right around the corner. Literally, opening tampering period is less than a week away, and the Seahawks, well, they just cannot stay out of the news. They are all over the place. A couple of big decisions were made today that we're going to dive into. This is Seahawks Today. I am your host, Will Ortner. And the first big piece of news that kind of broke, kind of didn't, I would say, because we all already knew that Kenneth Walker was not going to be franchise tagged, came from Peter Schrager that made it essentially official. Kenneth Walker was not going to be franchise tagged, and he was going to hit free agency. We all knew that this was something that was going to be coming, but I do feel like even when you know you're a dead man walking, coming into a day at school where maybe you didn't study for a test and you know that you failed it, or maybe when you're going out to a dinner with a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you know that they're about to dump you, it still hurts when the news finally becomes officially official. So this one was something that we knew Kenneth Walker was going to be on the free agent market, and Seattle wasn't going to have any restrictions to him potentially leaving. I think this report from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler might have been a little bit more surprising. And it was essentially that Jake Bobo was going to not and get tendered, and he was going to end up being an unrestricted free agent in the next season. I say it's a bit surprising, but I'm not going to sit here and say that it was shocking, right? I don't believe that anyone is clamoring saying that Jake Bobo must get paid a bunch more money or must have a much higher contract, but I also think that there are plenty of people that kind of expected Seattle to find a way to get him back. Now, the latest news doesn't mean that he's going to be gone for sure, and we'll dive into that here in just a little bit. We're going to break down all of the news around both of these two stories, but before we do, I need to let you know about this sweet Seahawks Today t-shirt. Only $24.99. Go grab yours today. Let everyone know you are repping your favorite show. We've got it in the navy as well as in the black. Here's the cool thing about these t-shirts. If you go and grab one, we are going to give you a shout out on a future show. And right now, we are in 9th place when it comes to t-shirt sales at Chat Sports. We're selling our Seahawks Today t-shirt. We want to be higher than 9th place. Grab yours today. If you haven't grabbed any St. Patrick's Day merch, you better do so quickly. We've got the green t-shirt as well as the navy. Super affordable t-shirt as well, only $29.99. Go grab yourself one today. And if you're like me, you always have a hat on because, well, you're bald or maybe you got a bad hairline. Maybe you don't have enough money to go to Turkey. You definitely have enough money to go grab a beer drinking hat from Chat Sports. Look at how sweet that thing is. Only $24.99. Perfectly in style trucker hat. Plus, it's letting everybody know what you have come into the establishment to do responsibly, of course. We're going to have the link to all three of those items down below in the comment section. All you got to do is click it. It'll take you right where you need to go. Maybe you'll be repping a pretty sweet hat real soon. So we're going to start first here with Kenneth Walker and all the news surrounding our running back, although it does seem to be like he's going to be our former running back in Seattle. Kenneth Walker is going to join a very short list of players, it seems like, that did not end up returning to a team after they won a Super Bowl MVP with that squad. Now, the Seahawks have made it very, very clear that they do want Kenneth Walker back in Seattle, but it seems like there's going to have to be a cap at what they're willing to pay for Walker. You don't believe me? Listen to Schneider.
Yeah, Super Bowl MVP, I kind of lost it I got nervous I was talking in front of all those people today, and Ken's like, what are you talking about? I totally made that up. Like, I just lost it. No, we'd love to have Ken back. It's, and he knows this better than anybody. It's about our 70, and our collective and what that's going to look like. And we'll have those meetings down here where we'll start, talking to all the agents and we'll have a better feel where we're going here towards the end of the week. But obviously, we'd love to have everybody. We want to have everybody back. Right when you get done with something special like that, you're like, hey, let's run it back. It's going to be an interesting process.
Of course, the Seahawks want the Super Bowl MVP back in Seattle, but it would not be smart of them to not have a number that they are willing to not spend over, right? The running back position is a room that is not as valuable as it was back in the 90s. Players get hurt. You are now looking at more and more teams go to a 2 running back system, just like the Seattle Seahawks did, and it ends up paying off for them in the long run. So it wouldn't make sense for the Seahawks to pay a boatload of money to a certain running back just because he had a good last 6 games of his year. I think it's very smart. Set a cap number that you're willing to spend and do not spend over it, because we've seen too many teams in the National Football League spend over the amount of money that they want to for a free agent, and it ends up hamstringing their franchise for the next couple of years. Albert Breer has this to say on what the market is going to look like for Kenneth Walker, which honestly shocked me. It leaves Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker alone as the top back on the market, and Walker will probably wind up getting somewhere between $12 million and $16 million per season from a team like the Seahawks, Broncos, or Chiefs. That's insane. Look at the stat line right here for Kenneth Walker. Obviously, he had a very good year for the Seahawks. He was the main running back, but he wasn't there all by himself. He ends up getting over 1,000 yards. Obviously, he had a lot more success as the year went on. Justin Otten did a great job of making sure that Kenneth Walker grew once Otten took over more of a bigger role with the running game. The average is great. He catches the ball great out of the backfield. The touchdown numbers are lower, but they would be higher if it wasn't for Zach Charbonnet. But to me, when you look at that stat line, is that a stat line of a running back that you're going to pay $12 million plus a year? I'm literally asking you right now, take a moment, pause the screen, or do whatever you have to do to really let this number sink in. Kenneth Walker is expected to make $12 million a year plus next year. Is he worth that? Yes or no down below in the comment section, because I'll tell you right now, I don't know that he's worth that. I'm not willing to pay Kenneth Walker that much money. $12 to $14 million a year is basically top 5 running back money. When you look at the free agent class, there's a lot of really good running backs that don't deserve that amount of money, that are going to do 90 to 95% of what Kenneth Walker's going to do. This isn't me attacking Kenneth Walker. And I'm going to say something that's going to sound really mean here, but I do believe it. There has never been a player that has hit free agency at a better time than Kenneth Walker is right now. He had a great last 6 games of the season. Last 3 regular, last 3 in the postseason. And so he is going to get paid an exorbitant amount of money that he doesn't necessarily deserve, or I think has earned for his talent. What I mean by that is Kenneth Walker a top 5 running back in the National Football League? The answer is no. He's right around that 10 mark. He deserves to be paid right around what the 10th best running back is going to get paid. But based on what those contract evaluations are by Albert Breer, means Kenneth Walker is going to make a lot more money than that. I'm not comfortable paying him. And I don't think the Seahawks are either. So where are they going to pivot? It sounds like Seattle could easily go after some players in the upcoming NFL draft. But then you are relying on a rookie running back stepping in and being the bell cow till at least Zach Charbonnet comes in and is able to kind of recover from his ACL. Or you go and you look in free agency and you try and find a player that is just as good but slightly a lesser version. Now, Pat McAfee ended up tweeting this out, but this does come to us from ESPN's Adam Schefter. And he says one of these free agent RBs is going to end up in Seattle. There are a lot of good backs on the open market. That is the quote from Schefter. When you look at the free agent running backs right now, here is that list of players that really jumps off the screen to most people. You got Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins, Rico Dowdle, Kenneth Gainwell, Pacheco, Najee Harris is someone that I find is fascinating, and Rachaad White. But there's a running back that's starting to get linked to the Seattle Seahawks that isn't on that free agent list, that is going to be a free agent that I actually think has been very much a downplayed player in the National Football League because he's simply been overshadowed. That guy that I'm talking about is Tyler Allgeier, and he is very quickly becoming a guy to watch because I think most NFL fans and even casual NFL fans, especially casual NFL fans, when they think of running backs in Atlanta, they think of Bijan Robinson. And they should. The guy's unbelievable. He is a top 5 running back in the National Football League right now. And so Allgeier has had to take a back seat. But what people don't realize and what people don't remember is that Tyler Allgeier, when he was a starting running back in the National Football League that first year, his rookie year, he was freaking awesome. And I get it. He's not a very fast running back, but he is a strong running back and knows how to find open holes. Yes, his numbers are down, but look at his carries. He's getting 3.6 yards per average in Atlanta, a team that wasn't very good last year. He has a nose for the end zone. He's very strong. Now, he runs a very similar way to Zach Charbonnet, and this could be a sign of showing that Seattle is going to move on from Charbonnet after his ACL recovery. But you're looking at a guy here who has multiple years where he averaged over 4 yards a carry. And that 2022 year, that year, Allgeier was a starting running back in the National Football League. He wasn't dealing with Bijan. So if you're telling me that Tyler Allgeier is that type of guy, he doesn't have a lot of tread taken off of his tires. He's a guy who has been having to share the load or be the number 2. I don't see why he couldn't work in Seattle. Are you going to be the fastest running back room in the world? No, I don't think that you necessarily need to be. It's also important to look at Spot Track. They say right now, Allgeier, they expect him to sign a 3-year, little over $17 million contract. I sneaky love that, man. That's fantastic. That's awesome to me. Because if you told me that I can get Allgeier for cheap, that now means the Seahawks have more money to spend on Rashid Shaheed, who I think would be a bigger asset when it comes to the totality of what he can be for this team. That's more money for JSN. That's more money for Devin Witherspoon. That could potentially be more money for Reek Woolen. You can take the money that you would have potentially spent on Kenneth Walker. You're going to get 85, 90% of it, and you're going to be able to sign Tyler Allgeier, who's going to be fine. And you can take that money and spend it on other pieces. Maybe the Seahawks do make a move for a guy like Tyler Linderbaum now, a guy at center who would instantly make this team better, and you'd be able to get better at the right guard position just by a battle of sheer wills. When I look at Tyler Allgeier, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I talk myself into him being a halfway decent fit. I understand that when we throw the stats up here right now, it's not great, but you have to remember that's a guy who's being a backup. You don't need a bell cow running back in Seattle. You want a running back who's going to fit a role. You want a power back and you want a speed back. Allgeier, I think, is a slightly better version than Charbonnet. At the very least, it's a better version next year because Charbonnet is coming off an ACL tear. Maybe you ask George Halani to do more, but I'll tell you right now, I think that I kind of want the Seahawks to sign Tyler Allgeier. I'm talking myself into it. Do you want the Seahawks to sign Tyler Allgeier? Go down below in the comment section and type yes or no. I'll tell you right now, I want him in Seattle. If you're not going to be able to re-sign Kenneth Walker, I want him in Seattle because I know that I'm going to be able to sign Allgeier for a cheaper price while also be able to take that money that we saved and not spent on Tyler Allgeier and spend it in other places. Now we're going to transition over to Jake Bobo. Jake Bobo is a clear fan favorite in Seattle. We all love him. But the Seahawks decided not to tender him, so that does mean that he is going to be an unrestricted free agent. Now, when we look at Jake Bobo's career, it seems like it's gone down ever so slightly, but some of that is also because of the wide receivers that the Seahawks have added in that time. It's also a little bit to do with injuries. It's a little bit to just do sometimes with dumb luck and who got open on a certain play and who didn't get open on a certain play. Jake Bobo clearly has a halfway decent role, and he's a player that can be very successful in the National Football League, not just as a wide receiver, but also as someone who adds in on special teams. Now, it does feel like the Seahawks are not ready to completely close the door on Bobo. They just didn't want to pay him the amount of money that they would have to pay him, which was about $3 million if they had tendered him. So, the Seahawks have an opportunity to let Bobo hit the free market, see is he going to make a bunch of money or is someone else going to be able to sign him? And if not, well, then he'll just come right back on to Seattle. I would prefer that Jake Bobo returns to Seattle. In fact, I think that Seattle doesn't utilize him enough, especially in the low red zone. He's a big, strong wide receiver. He's not afraid to block, and he's tall. Throw the ball up and let him go and catch the football. And he's shown that he can do that. And I think that this year he got kind of derailed a little bit on that simply because of the fact that he got hurt early on in the year. And because he got hurt early on in the year, well, then the Seahawks, frankly, did not have an opportunity to use him as much as they might have wanted. And then they already kind of fell into a role of, hey, this is how we want to use these certain players. And so that's where it ended up going. Now, I would say that this makes the Juwan Jennings rumors a little bit more interesting because he's going to fit a similar type of role as Jake Bobo, and he's a similar type of player, although I would make the argument he's proven to have a little bit more success in the National Football League, and I think even the biggest Jennings detractors would say that that is evidence as well. But if Seattle is willing to move on from Jake Bobo, maybe they save some money in the running back free agent market, maybe there's a little bit more money to go and get a guy like Jennings, someone who's already had a lot of success under a coach like Brian Fleury. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. We always really appreciate it. The more likes that we get on our videos, well, the more opportunities that we're going to have to get content out to you. Of course, as always, make sure you hit that sub button. If you have not, do so now. We are within 5 subscribers of our Knicks Now channel. We want to catch them. We want to do it. Hit that sub button so we can. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video, and I cannot wait to see you next time.